The Mexican-Swiss artist Ana Roldán works mainly in Europe and Latin America and just opened a show in her Swiss gallery Annex14. Ana Roldán's exhibition is called Take Position, Bodies and Plants, and this work here is called Take Position. Now if you see posters on a wall like that and you have the title Take Position, it's clear the allusion goes to the political poster. Thinking about positions which are in the title and in this work, I mean position can mean the place a physical object or a body has in the space. Position can mean an intellectual or an ideological position, an attitude, or position can mean the way your body is in yoga or in sex. On this poster, Anna goes further by having more expressions that go around these meanings of position, like posture, pose, attitude, position, and so on, bearing. And if you look at them closely, the words are like shifted a bit away from these little black sticks. This alludes to another whole part of her work that is related to the philosophy of language. She works quite often with philosophy and language and all the question about what is the relation between words and what they mean, what they depict, what they show. They look a bit like vanilla sticks, and with that I come to the second work here, which is this one, which is called Vanilla Overseas. Overseas is an expression mainly used with commerce, with international commerce, and with vanilla it's quite clear it's a product that exists everywhere. If we look closely at this wall, we can see the little dots because it is made with real vanilla extract. The whole thing is made with vanilla. If you look at it from a bit afar, it looks like a monochromatic work, like something out of modernity. And this is a gesture that Ana Roldán is using quite a lot, that on one hand it looks like she's working, or she works with the vocabulary of modernity whilst using to do so organic material like here this vanilla. With vanilla we have to know that vanilla comes from the Aztec culture. It's coming from Mexico. It was used by the Aztecs to sweeten chocolate and was then brought by the conquistadores to Europe. These days vanilla is a flavor that is omnipresent. It's all over the world. It's used in countless foods to sweeten things, and what this work is also about, this vanilla is a very good example how something local, very specific, something that came out of a very specific culture and a specific meaning, in a globalized world is losing totally this the sense of the local and becomes something faceless and universal. This work is called False Flag. Why is it a false flag? It's a false flag because it's the Mexican flag, but instead of the eagle with the snake we have here this precise geometric drawing, something we find quite often in Ana Roldán's work, and because this doesn't look really like a flag, you know, it's hanging like an old rag, and it's not really able to be the proud representative of a state. The title False Flag is an expression that is very often found these days on the internet, because all the lunatics who believe in all these conspiracy theories normally talk about a false flag. False flag means, for example, operations of secret services that do something and make it appear as it was done by somebody else. In the case of Mexico, it's a bit special because in Mexico, the serious press, the investigative journalism, and the biggest parts of the public are convinced, and there are very good reasons and facts why they are convinced, that the Mexican state is quite often a part when atrocities are committed, like this case that became quite famous or infamous when these 43 students in Guerrero were murdered in 2014, where it's quite clear that the Mexican state was part of all of this. And if you read it like that, you can say this is a work with a very strong political undercurrent, or it can be read as such. This work is called Indian File, and if a Mexican artist is showing something like this and calls it Indian File, I mean, you get the wink. On the first glimpse, it looks like an abstract work, but it's not really, it's a bit imperfect. And with that we are in this tension where you can place big parts of Ana Roldán's work. She's somehow between European modernity, which is very strict, which is very decided, which is precise, like for example the school of the constructive and concrete painters in Zurich, very Protestant, strict, and on the other hand a Latin American modernity, like the brown shapes of the architecture of Oscar Niemeyer, or if you take the Mexican architect Luis Barragán, whose traces you find quite often in Ana Roldán's work, who was painting the buildings he made with the color of flowers or local trees. So she is in this whole realm, and in this work you see at the first moment something abstract, but it's imperfect because it is made with coconuts. Another example where she does that is she made big grids like Mondrian painting, but as it was made out of bamboo, it looks a bit imperfect. Now, a second reason why she's using the coconuts here is that there is the theory that the very origin of drawing or painting is mankind copying nature, like the horizon gets the line, or the moon is becoming the circle, and here she's not copying nature, but sculpting with nature itself. And an interesting thing here is that these works are photograms, so you place an object on this photographic paper and somehow it depicts itself. So it's it's a bit like a selfie of the coconut. So the line between what is organic and grown and nature, and on the other hand, what is culture and man-made is quite blurred. And if you look at it quite narrowly, it gets this very painterly attitude, this painterly appeal, especially with the hairs of these coconuts, which remind us a bit of the splashes in action painting. This group of sculptures is called I Thought It Was Impossible. At the first glance, it's not very clear, are they anthropomorphic, are they something like bodies or body parts, or are they just abstract sculptures? And the same goes a bit if you look at these skin-colored parts. It's not totally clear, is it man-made or is it something organic? If you think about the title, I thought it was impossible, the first thing that can come to your mind is a rather humorous idea. It's, you're in your yoga class and all of a sudden you are able to do this very complicated position and you say, I thought it was impossible. It's also thinkable that the artist, after lots of obstacles, all of a sudden has a work in the gallery and with a sigh is saying, I thought it was impossible. There is a third possible way of reading this work, especially in a Mexican context. In Mexico, in the media, you have lots of photos of the victims of the civil war that is going on at the moment, and many of these bodies are chopped off. So if you think of it with Mexico in mind, it could also be read as I thought it was impossible, meaning I thought it was impossible, all the atrocities that are committed in this country. And somehow you could say in a world at the moment gone totally mad, with unimaginable atrocities everywhere, this is a diagnosis that unfortunately works quite well on a global level.